All right, YouTube. A quick reference. This is day 3 of my 3D print guitar. Um, I have it going right now. It's printing, if you can hear it in there. Um, I just thought for a reference, you guys might want to know exactly how I sliced everything and what I got going on with it. So here we go. All right. So this is in Ultimaker Cura. And if you look, I have actually fused these pieces together. So when I click on it, well, this right here is a box. I actually have came over here to this setting right here and opened up a box and put it on the guitar right here, right? Hold on, that light is actually getting kind of annoying. There we go. Well, that really didn't help me any, did it? I guess that's as good as it's going to get. Sorry about the flickering screen, guys. But anyway, you can come right over here in your settings or in Cura, and you click on this, and you come over here and you put a box, right? And once you put the box in place, you'll have to come here and scale the box, right? You got to make sure you don't have snap or uniform scaling, because you want to make that box so that it actually, when you when you change your view here, you'll see that the box actually goes all the way through the body of the guitar, right? And in that box, I actually have set my infill. You can do that through your settings right here. Sorry, my computer is not the fastest, guys. Sorry, got stuff popping up. Okay, but you can go in your settings right here and you'll see inside that box I have my infill set to 45. That's 45% only inside of this box. Now it's set to 45 because your strings will be right here, and that's where all the tension is going to be at on the guitar. So I set that at 45 for the strength factor, right? And then there's also another box that's going to be right here. See how that's a little box there? I have that infill set at 100%. That's set at 100% because right there is where you're going to put your strap button. So I put it at 100%. That way there's plenty of plastic for me to drill a hole in and for a screw to actually thread into. That way it's got plenty of bite. And then the whole rest of the guitar, you see how I got the whole thing here. If I come back up here to my settings, okay, on the quality side, I have 0.2 layer height. Okay, I believe I have 6 walls. Yep, 6 walls. 6 walls is a little bit of overkill, guys. You can probably cut that down to 4 or 5 and be plenty. I think the orange guitar that I've been showing has 3 walls. I believe I could be mistaken on that. But I wanted this one to be a little bit thicker. I figured on the last one I didn't really want to sand too much to make everything smooth because I didn't know if I would go through the walls. And again, right here, the top of the body and the bottom of the body I have set at 8. See, bottom layer's 8, top layer's 8. That way I'll get a nice thick top and bottom. I don't know. I wanted to do it extra on the top and bottom because I figured that blue is supposed to be silver, and I wanted it to be thick enough for it to actually be able to have the kind of color change effect. That might not help at all. It might. I'm not real sure. I'm not claiming to be a 3D print pro here, guys. So this is just something anyone can do. I'm trying to show you how I'm doing it. The whole rest of the body is a 20% infill using the grid pattern. So when you look at it, you'll see it's a grid on the rest of the guitar. Now the other infills in that box right here, I actually use it's cubic, because cubic, from what I've read, cubic is a stronger in all directions kind of infill, and I wanted as much strength in that part of the guitar as I could against all directions, because that's where the tension's at, and I don't want the body to warp. So, like I said, that's the infill I got for the whole rest of the guitar. And the material, like I said, I started out at 205 when I sliced it, and it wasn't printing very well at 205, and I upped it to 210, and it still wasn't printing very good. And at 215 it was printing almost like it should, and now it's up to 217 and it's printing perfect at 217. And the build plate, I started out at 55. The recommended temperatures on the filament said 50, I think, but that wasn't quite cutting it, because I was still getting it warping up from the bed. So I set it at 60 is where the print is actually at. So I just changed that on the settings right there on the screen, like I've showed you a couple of times. I believe the speed was set at 80, but for some reason my 3D printer, every time I start, it always wants to start at 100. But I've backed that down so that it's actually only printing at 50 right now. I started out at 40. I changed it to 40 very early on, like right as soon as I started printing. So that's where I'm at with that. And on the travel, I actually have retraction on. I believe I'm retracting 5 or 6 millimeters. And I do have Z-Hop. When I didn't have Z-Hop on, I was noticing a lot of stringing. I haven't noticed any stringing on this particular guitar. None really that makes a difference. So I don't know if Z-Hop is really necessary. But when it's laying out that grid, sometimes it goes from this side to this side, and when it does, it might go from this corner over to this corner, and I didn't want it to drag the hot end across it. So that's why I got Z-Hop still on. I believe I turned cooling off, but no, it's actually on and at 50%. So alright, that's where it's at. And I haven't changed anything in the printer itself, so that's actually where it's supposed to be running at. But like I said, I'm just trying to show you guys where I actually have it set up in my slicer. So if you want to print the same thing, this is my exact settings. I do have support. You will need support. Don't try to print this without support, because the sides, the body is curved in different places, and it will cause your print to fail. That orange guitar I was printing, I tried to print it 3 or 4 times, failing, and that's, I tried to build it with no support because I didn't think I would need it, but you do. At 45 degrees is where I got it building or doing support, only touching the build plate because I didn't want to have to sand it off the guitar. But with this particular print, I don't think it would print. I don't think it would put any support on the body itself. So build plate adhesion, I don't have any, because it's a pretty big base and it should stick to the build plate on its own. You don't need any of that. And I don't have dual extrusion on my printer, so don't have to worry about none of that. But that's all of my settings for this 3D print. And as you can see, when I sliced it, it said 5 days, 21 hours, and 49 minutes. Now that was at 80 millimeters a second, or whatever that is, 80 print setting at 80. I believe it's millimeters a second or a minute, maybe, I don't know. But whatever it is, it was set at 80 in here. It's only at 50 on the 3D printer, so it's actually going to take longer than that 5 days. So just for reference. But that's my settings in Cura. If you guys have any other questions, I mean, you can hit me up in the comments. I do good to respond to pretty much every comment. I don't think I've missed any. But, you know, if you don't know how to actually merge the pieces together or anything like that, like I said, just hit me up and maybe I'll do a little bit more on that. But, like I said, there's my settings and everything, guys. And I'll be putting up some videos. Like I said, I know I'm on day 3 right now, and I've actually was going to wait and just do a whole video of everything after it's all done. But then that's going to be a long video, and I'm sure you guys don't want to sit through, you know, an hour-long video of just piece by piece of what the process is here. So, but there's my settings, and I just sliced it, put it on the SD card, put it in the 3D printer, and like I said, I'm on day 3 right now, and for reference, I'll give you guys a quick look to see where it's at, and I'll go ahead and upload day 1, 2, and 3 as it goes. You know, I have a job and I work and I got things I do, so I can't really go through editing a lot of videos all the time. That's why I'm behind on stuff. But this is, like I said, day 3 where it's at with it. This is the blue silk silver aniline filament. As you can see, it looks silver in there, and the rest of it kind of looks blue. You can see how inside of the honeycombs is silver and the top of it is blue. But 3 days in, like I said, I started with my print speed at 40 for the first probably 6% before I stepped it up to 50. Nozzle temp at 217 from the get-go. Hotbed at 60 from the get-go. And got it printing. That's where I'm at. This here was my first attempt, and it was a failure. It started to warp right here, so that's why I had to go back through and change some of my settings. But all the settings and stuff that I just mentioned to you is how it was set the second time when I actually am getting this result right here. So that's where it's at, guys. And if you're curious as to what it's supposed to look like when it's complete, it should resemble that, except for naturally it's a different color, but that's what the body will look like. And you see in the back, as I was talking about, for those 100% infills right here where you got to sink the screws for the claw here, 100% for the first little bit in here, that way you got enough plastic to bite into for the threads, and then 100% right here on this corner for the strap button, and then 100% for the strap button down there. And then you set your screw right through the corner of that honeycomb right there. You can see down there where the screw come through. But if you get the right length screw, you don't really see anything. But that's what we're printing. And like I said, it's not a couple of hour print, just for reference. But as it comes along, like I said, I will I got day 1 and day 2 and day 3 as to, you know, your progress and stuff through the days. But I'll be putting those up at some point. But later, guys.